compensation and concerns around the Summoner Sigil. Also, we're going to be looking into previous champions that have not been released as part of being the Summoner's Choice, and also what is likely to be the winner of the Summoner's Choice. We're also going to be looking at Battlegrounds results. Let's get into the show, shall we? So we're going to kick off the show today with a bit of kind of not really associated with the MCOC, but really important. There's some stuff that does impact, but there may be some content creators that you like out there, and they might use CapCut. CapCut basically falls under the banner of this kind of like TikTok malarkey that's going on. So you might find that people's access to stuff, I don't know if you have to VPN in order to access some of these kind of like games, products, and other stuff, because as we said, it all links back to TikTok with it. But it's this crazy old place because you just kind of go, if the relations between whatever country and Kabam aren't ever good, or whatever country and Netmarble, and of course going back to the country of origin that's from, you know, it could be like, well, you know what I mean, everything can go to a bit ape scat, but I wonder whether or not this situation can resolve itself. But it's just crazy, isn't it, to think that this can happen. They just cut the game like that. I'm still interested to see how things might impact on something like Marvel Rivals, but that's very different because it's not with that company. It doesn't link back to TikTok, but we'll have to see. Something that has been kind of like plaguing my mind a little bit is intercepts in game, and this is like weird because this was actually something in the release notes. Fixed an issue where attackers were sometimes losing intercepts between their medium attacks and the defenders on 60 frames per second. Man, sometimes you kind of like, you forget that like Kabam are working on stuff behind the scenes. And this may have been something that kind of really made like my time more painful in the last, say, 2 weeks of playing some of the content. But it's definitely been like something around AI that I'm still waiting for Kabam to kind of give some theory on when they're going to be able to actually get it sorted. Now, Piccolo, who is in the CCP, does say the fix from Hotfix update fixes it somewhat. It is still not where they want it, and they are working on fixing it more. And that is maybe something that's kind of like ruining my current experience with the game. But as we said, it's a bigger thing when it comes to AI. AI recovery time is just not in a great place. And with more players noticing like quality just not being there with this, it is hopefully something we hear about soon as to where Kabam are up with it, how long it might take, because it won't be like an easy process, because Kabam never built a fully functioning AI that was, I don't know, intelligent enough. Which is weird because you kind of go like AI and artificial intelligence. It's like, it's artificial, but it's got no intelligence. I'm waiting to see more on this. And it's not something this year, as I've said in previous videos, that I'm willing to just go, I'm chill with it. You know, there was some really good stuff last year, right? But, you know, this year is all about making sure when this PC version goes live, that Kabam can go, do you know what? We've got the game to a place where the gameplay, a fighting-based game, has something decent that we can just go, do you know what, compared with Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, like all the other big IP, we can go, our AI is good, which it's not really that good at the moment. Let's now look at Battlegrounds results. These are results from last season, season 24. This is done by MCOC Avenger, links in the description to MCOC Avenger. You can see there's a direct correlation here with where we're placed. If you want to get under like 100 position, you got to be putting up at least 11.250 mil, which compared with season 23 is 146,000 points less. So you can see there, position 93, 11.396, nearly that 11.4 mil, and there is 11.250 mil. So there's a definite kind of like, right, putting in less points is getting it. However, that was over Christmas. So is this now going to ramp back up again with that? But there are some other things with it that are notable. Like position 17, 17.45 mil for season 23. The last season, we're looking at position 14, 15.5 mil there. So that's a big difference, isn't it? That's nearly 2 mil difference in points being put in for this. I don't know if Battlegrounds is going to be, like, it needs to be less grindier. Let's kind of like put it that way. There's a lot of demand with kind of getting points in Battlegrounds, so hopefully in the future there is a kind of a nice kind of fine line that Kabam can sort out when making it less grindier, but we'll have to see what happens in the future with the mode. Now the vote is on with the final two contestants of the Summoner's Choice 2025, Mr. Knight versus the Shroud. If you go by the exit polls, I don't know, we're calling them exit polls. What are we calling them? I don't know. We'll have to kind of like, It's not like proper voting, but it is to a degree if you care a lot about these characters. If exit polls are anything to go by, it's got Mr. Knight as a 69.9% to Shroud's 30.1%. Now, I've been here before. Where I'm like, oh yeah, Mega Sentinel's going to win. Doctor Strange is going to win. This champion's going to win. And then when it comes to the final results, the in-game voting paints a different picture. So I'm going to wait and hold off. I know who I'm voting for and who I have been voting for and who I personally like. So this was an interesting read right here. His cape has been lined with asbestos, preventing him from being burnt by Human Torch. I mean, asbestos poisoning is not a good thing. It's very much not. Even though that will make you immune to incinerate or highly resistant. So that's a good thing. There's a lot of theory crafting in this one, which is still cool. Like saying that he could potentially have specials that can give any debuff passives, concussion, armor breaks, and staggers. I'm very much, most of the time, about matter of fact. And Kabam didn't really pitch any kind of like great ability overviews. It was just like, yeah, Mr. Knight can do debuffs, and I don't know, Shroud can do shrugging off debuffs. That's what Moon Knight can do. And oh, you know, Shroud, yeah, he can do Dark Force stuff. It was kind of very blasé, right? A little bit blasé in the way that we can do, kind of like pitching the abilities, which we saw earlier. So I guess it was kind of like, it's still cool to see this, or what you could actually get, but we'd never really been pitched full abilities or an overview to go, well, they do that, they kind of do this, they kind of do that. Anyway, who are you voting for? Put it in the comments. Is it still going to be your favourite? Have you shifted? Have you spread your votes out? Okay, really interesting part 2 to the Summoner's Choice based coverage. What champions that were in the previous Summoner's Choices have not been champions yet? This was really interesting. Shout out to Bowtie John. First of all, Summoner's Choice 2020, Blue Marvel, Morgan Le Fay. Yeah, weird with that, because I thought Morgan Le Fay was going to be a Mystic-based champion. In the 2022 vote, Armor, Crystal, Spider-Woman, Agatha Harkness, Hobgoblin. I still have hopes Agatha Harkness could have been. Well, I thought she was going to be in this year, but when we got Isophene in, and then I thought, oh, right, well, the chances are like slim to nil with that one. Echo as well, Deathlock, Marrow, Sunfire. Yeah, Marrow was an interesting. I think Kabam gave me a chance to do like an exclusive video type thing to kind of like advocate for the character, kind of explain it. That was cool. That was a cool little thing right there. I would have loved Deathlock, because if they went with the one with the second name of my second name, so same second name as me, then that would have been cool as well. Then you've got Blob, then you've got Ruby Thursday, Shriek, I said Shrek, Shriek, Swarm, the Beetle, Blue Tarantula, and Viper as part of the Summoner's Choice 2024 vote with that. Yeah, so that was, yeah, and we got did we get Shathra from that one? Man, there's a lot of champions right there. But let's face it, there's a lot of champions that have not entered into game. There's tons in a Marvel IP yet to kind of like enter in, but I thought this was really interesting. It's also been pretty cool to see Okoye come in as a champion for Jan 2025. I don't know if we'll see any of the others this year. It would be cool, but you have to figure out like where would they put a place in everything. Like Blob as a mutant, have like an X-Men based month. Would we have like, I don't know, a Spider-Verse based month and Spider-Woman gets put in? We have like a mystical based month and there's Agatha Harkness there. I don't know, we do some kind of Halloween type thing and Hobgoblins there. Like there's good opportunities. It's just like, if not, a battle of the mystics between Morgan Le Fay and Agatha Harkness. There's opportunities. There are definitely opportunities to see these characters in the future. Which one would you like to see the most? So when it comes to the Summoner Sigil, and this is the topic we're going to end on, because it's a kind of expanding topic that Kabam need to respond on. Two key things. The first thing is compensation. You might have noticed the compensation if you had the Summoner Sigil went out. There's definitely a question here. I had this is Chris, by the way, that says I had 390 greatest sigil credits and now they're gone. But then this is the question of like, they're meant to convert 1 for 1. And you can see Chris here is minus what seems to be 300 credits, which is pretty big. Now, whether or not that unit number is correct, again, don't know. That's just down to how much you bought of the Summoner Sigil at the time as to what you've got back. And also some other elements as well that come from not being able to have the Arena Express mode. Although the question is to like when and to what, and more questions, like was that initial compensation to deal with the loss of days, and there's a separate one when it comes to Arena Express compensation, because one might have already been tallied and ready to go, so Kabam just pushed it out, and the second one might still yet be to come. I mean, there's definitely some questions here that I've got some answers to. This was put out, I think, Friday. Yeah, Friday for this one. Is Arena Express comp coming in a different time? I just received comp for my Sigil, extra days, but it did not have the extra 600 units. Thanks for the information and updates. How many units did you receive? The comp should be all combined. We updated the post to show the total compensation package, which is inclusive of the 600. That doesn't sound particularly good. Yesterday I received the compensation for the days, removed my seal, and it was 750 units. Does anyone know when the second compensation of 600 units to the arena? Similar. Do you know how many days you had left? If it was 15 days or less, then 750 total would be correct. If you check the chart, just above it says, and of course, total compensation package. So it kind of feels like it has been sent out. Oh, and just for those curious, those greater ones, they're converted 1 for 1. So it probably means if you had 390, the example of Chris, 390 there as greaters, they were transferred to being just the originals. So they were just like normal Sigil credits from now on. There are some other things that I don't think players will be getting compensation for. Loss of energy, getting rarities like 7-star shards and things. I don't think that you'll be getting that. There is something that I do feel that would be allowed a type of compensation. And I personally believe, I mean, I don't spend, but for those that do, losing out on inventory space is really bad, okay? I've definitely seen like a rise of people talking about their issues with that one. Here we go. The issue, at least for me, is that I have 15 7-star signature stones expiring in less than a day, and before the Sigil shut down, I'd only have to sacrifice 15 to not lose any to expiration. Now, since my inventory is at 125 100, I will have to sacrifice 40 signature stones to not lose any. I mean, that's kind of like a different, that's down to obviously how you manage your stash, but then there's other situations as well, like, you know, that's choosing a champion, but there's stuff that's kind of like, oh, choose a champion, put signature stones in. To some people, they don't want to do that because they may be saving to 200 signature something. Each to their own, you know, so who am I to force like what you do in game? Can we please get the inventory increase back? I have some big boosts expiring which I can't use because 1310, and this war also doesn't count, so even if I use it, it's a waste, but would be amazing if they reactivate it until the new Sigil comes, because again, there's a smaller window. Different things have different windows of expiry. Yeah, at the moment I've got 10% boosts expiring, and that's fine, but then there's other things as well, like not really arena boost because I don't have more spicier things here, but there could be something here that's, oh, I have something that I'm like, well, that has a 14-day, or something has a shorter date of expiry, and that becomes a problem, doesn't it? Especially if you spent a lot of money on things in game like items, boosts, and whatever. It's not great, is it? There's a lot of things, especially in this thread, that people have kind of like raised the concern, and it's something that's still yet to be answered. I've asked questions with Kabam, I've sent a message to them to kind of find out, can they answer this thread, but also what do they plan to do? Because that's important, isn't it? That's the thing that in the last, say, 4 or 5 days, people have reached out the most about, because it's become very frustrating. Great with the units, that's fantastic. Some people think that they're going to be, they should be receiving more units. So again, that's a problem. They feel that it's not being calculated correctly. Even as I record this video today, that point of the resources, the inventory cap, seems to be like people are keen to find out how do Kabam plan to address this, because, well, you're losing out stuff, isn't it? That's why you, for a lot of players, that's why you buy the Summoner Sigil. Non-spenders like myself and many other players in the game will be like, we've got to manage our stash just so microscopically, like micromanagey, that's not even the right word, but you know what I mean. You have to micromanage your inventory as much as possible. I'm doing it all the time. But then if you pay for something and then it gets taken away and these items just expire because you go, well, I paid for this, why can't I have the benefit of it? Then that's a problem, isn't it? And those very spicy premium items that you might have gone for, gone. Anyway, I hope later on today we hear more about that, but time will tell with Kabam. Anyway, that's been the show for today. Get involved in the comments, or as well get involved with the threads from the discussions that were raised. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.